People have been talking about AI for as long as I can remember, but this year it finally hit a milestone I wasn't sure would ever be reached in my lifetime. Here is an oil painting of a software engineer holding a purple rabbit. I made this myself, entirely with an AI painting tool called DALL-E. I got accepted into the beta, and let me tell you, it's a lot of fun. Here's a remote office in the style of Salvador Dali. Here's a pixel drawing of a crocodile slurping soup. Here's a remote worker on the moon. And here's a stained glass window of Mother Teresa riding a dinosaur. You get the idea. Now, silly drawings aside, back in September, Forbes listed creativity as one of the 7 biggest AI trends of 2022. But creativity was actually number 7 on that list. Number 1 was the augmented workforce. And in this episode, we're going to take a look at what that means and how it could affect you and your job. I'm Andrew Allen, and this is Out of Office, episode 16. So first up, whether you think all this AI sounds awesome or terrifying is irrelevant. Please go ahead and debate that morality in the comments, but it's not what I'm here to do. What I am here to do is predict that in 10 years, maybe less, we'll all look back on the current era where most of us do our jobs without AI in the same way as we now look back on the era where most people did their jobs without email. Nobody questions whether that shift was good or bad. We just wonder how on earth we got anything done before. And when most people think about AI in relation to their work, they land in one of 3 camps. Either they panic about losing their job to a machine, they think their job is too specialized for AI to learn, or they're just confused and don't know what any of it means. For me, I've spent most of my life in camp number 2, because my work involves a lot of creativity, like this video series, which just can't be replicated using binary code sequences. So I always thought my job would be impossible to automate. But this week, somewhere between that purple rabbit and Mother Teresa, I had to admit I was wrong. AI may not be able to create this entire show just yet, but someday it probably will be. I have to do a quick shout out here to someone who absolutely has more faith in this than me. My man Peter has implied that I'm a robot on multiple episodes. We actually sent him a video of my dogs in reply to this one, and he's been strangely quiet since then, but I'm sorry to disappoint Peter, but unless I'm being Blade Runnered, I am in fact real. Anyway, let's bring this back to the augmented workforce. The Forbes article makes a big point of saying that this doesn't mean people's jobs are going to be replaced by AI tomorrow. It simply means that more and more of us are using AI tools in the course of our daily work. But there were 2 headlines this week that prompted me to write about this topic, and they do paint a slightly different picture. The first one was about a leaked memo from Amazon, who just laid off hundreds of recruiters. The memo revealed that they've been working for over a year to train AI to predict which job applicants are going to be successful in any given role, and fast-track those people to an interview without a human recruiter's involvement at all. It does this by finding similarities between the resumes of current, well-performing Amazon employees and those of job applicants applying for similar jobs. Apparently, they did try this 10 years ago, but they had to shelve it when it demonstrated a bias against women, which does unfortunately say a lot about the pitfalls of training AI based on human behavior. In some cases, it only amplifies the unconscious biases that the humans were already exhibiting. Now, whether or not you like the idea of an automated recruitment process, you have to admit it's interesting that the human version of this process was already biased, and it took AI to both illuminate and eliminate something we can all agree is as wrong as sexism and racism. The second news story was this one. The Times of India reports that AI is a complete game changer for recruitment there, to such an extent that it has the potential to benefit the economy monumentally. AI is now capable of doing everything from improving the quality of candidate shortlists to weeding out the same kind of bias that Amazon had to tackle, as well as detecting fraud and saving hiring managers a whole bunch of time. Of course, a lot of people will think that AI can't do all that as well as they can, but they would be wrong. Just like I was about painting. And at the end of the day, AI isn't going to swoop in and just steal people's jobs tomorrow, but over time, AI will be able to add value in more places. It's simply inevitable that many tasks will become more efficient and accurate in the hands of AI than humans. And then the market will decide. And trying to fight that is going to look a lot like employing Usain Bolt to deliver inter-office memos. Even the fastest person in the world is never going to outrun an email. And that is why the future of work is, say it with me, out of office.